On the 3rd of April, 2022, Miami police received an emergency call that surprised them. On the phone was a couple informing that the male partner was stabbed and injured, clinging between that thin rope between life and death.
I can't feel my arm. I can't feel my arm. Oh, my boyfriend is dying of a stab.
Ma'am, what is the address?
131 Northeast 7th Ave. Baby, I'm so sorry.
When the police reached the crime area, they found the male partner, 27 years old Christian Toby Abumsali, bleeding out in his girlfriend's lap with a brutal stab wound in the chest. The whole apartment was colored red with blood, and Toby was counting his last breath. Courtney Clenny, who was an OnlyFans model, had met Toby 2 years ago, back in 2020. And while the couple seemed to be pure love on screen, things were completely different behind the doors. The couple had been reported for multiple fights, and even the police had visited their apartment more than once. But their biggest fight, which would also turn out to be Courtney's biggest nightmare, was scheduled to happen in 2022. After this incident, Toby ultimately died due to his severe injuries in the hospital. And of course, Courtney had nothing to do with this. Well, at least that's what she told the police. But the cops aren't fooled, right? She was the initial suspect of the crime, and that's why she was brought to questioning. And the 5-hour interrogation was a very interesting affair.
My apologies for being absolutely fucking covered in blood.
Listen, you don't have to apologize, okay? I completely understand. Alright? Things happen, and you can't control it. Okay? So, you don't have to apologize for it. Alright? How long have you guys been together?
About 2 years.
About 2
A
years?
year and a half to 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
Is he okay?
He's still at the hospital. They're still,
I know.
monitoring him and talking to him. So we're waiting.
Oh my God! So he didn't even have to have surgery.
Well, I don't know. They're still doing X-rays and stuff like that. So I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear a response.
That's all I have to know. Thank
Okay.
God.
So
That's all I need.
we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
During the interrogation, the detectives lied to Courtney about Toby being in hospital but alive. He was dead. But the reason why the detectives did this was to ease the suspect down about any worries she might have at the time, so they can open up more freely and honestly during the questioning.
We just gotten back together. I had broken up with him, and then he came back the last 2 nights, and everything was perfect. And then she got into an argument, and I ended up getting scared, and I think that I overreacted, or not overreacted necessarily, but reacted, and I just didn't know exactly what might happen.
Courtney started the interrogation by saying that whatever had happened was an accident. They had a fight, and they both reacted. That's it.
So let's start from the start. You guys were supposed to take out your dogs to the park, right? And then what happened after that?
Like I said, a little bit blur.
Yeah.
I was doing laundry and watching a Christina Randall, or listening to a Christina Randall video, and tried to call my mom. She didn't answer the first time. And then he came back with a Subway sandwich. Before he left, he recited exactly what I wanted. And I said, I'll text what I want to you. And he said, I know what you want. And I said, no, you don't. And he recited it to me before he left. And he got it perfectly right.
Okay.
And then he left. I guess he went to go bike over there. That's just what he said. I don't know if he walked or biked, but he told me he's going to bike personally.
Like a bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came back, and I said something about oh, are you going to reshare your location with me? Did you unshare it? And he said, yeah, I unshared it. And I was like, oh, when did you do that? And he goes, the other day, when you were done with me. And I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Reshare it. And then he told, it kind of like turned into like a little like argument or something. And then he told me to reach your mind, and I was like, okay, yeah, I will. And then I didn't do it immediately. He asked me about it again. And I don't know what I was thinking, but it just said something about, well, what if I'm somewhere you don't want me to be?
Okay.
Which I wouldn't have been. I love him. But just like, maybe you don't want to know where I am. I guess maybe it'll just like hurt him because he was pressing me. And he ended up pinning me against the wall. And then, I said like choking me on the floor. It's just like, they were looking at my neck and I was like, I'm not saying like choking me like, whatever. But he had my like neck. Like, and this happened twice before. Okay. Where I couldn't breathe and I was on the floor. Yeah. I could not breathe. And I don't think that he was trying to kill me, but I was scared. And all 3 times I have been scared. Okay. So yeah, I'm on the floor. And he had me pinned and lets me up. I'm on the, get my mom on the phone. And I'm just trying to really remember. I got my mom on the phone, and I remember she was standing like against the couch. Like we were obviously it was a big deal at this point. So this happened like over by the door and somehow moved like over in the living room. He was standing by the couch, facing toward the kitchen. I was in the kitchen. And then he just like, I could see like all the whites in his eyes, and he was like coming at me. And so I grabbed one of these knives. My mom got me for Christmas. I grabbed one of them, and I was like, I swear to God. I swear to God. It was just like, I grab and be like, don't come anywhere closer to me. Because, earlier, that was happening 2 other times, I couldn't fucking breathe. I'm sorry. I couldn't breathe. And it's very scary. And I just think, like, just like this kind of thing where I was saying, like, do you know if he's okay? If he's choking me and he's angry enough, he might, like, this is different, I think. But if he's, like, choking me or, like, pinning me or something and I can't breathe, he might go too long. So I grab a knife and I said, don't come anywhere closer to me. I had absolutely no intention of using it. I'm on the phone with my mom, and he's coming at me like he's going to grab either the phone or like the knife or something, and so I was just like, I was like, don't come any closer. Coming at me, and I threw it. And I meant for it to go.
How far away was he?
Well, I was by my fridge, and he was like by the edge of one of the chairs of the sofa.
Okay.
Like
comparing to what
10 feet. I'm trying to think in my head.
When the detectives asked her about what had happened on the day of the incident, Courtney told them that the fight had started when the couple stopped sharing their location to each other, which ended up with Toby pinning Courtney against the floor and her throwing a kitchen knife at him in self-defense. The female suspect told the cops that whatever she did was in self-defense, and she did throw a knife at her partner nearly 10 feet away from her, which went piercing his chest, making him bleed heavily and beg for his life.
You guys have a history of domestic violence?
Yeah.
You say you've been together how long, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
2.5 to 2 years.
So how many incidents you think you've had?
I don't know, but we shouldn't be together.
Have you made a report before?
No.
You've never made a report?
Oh, I did in Dallas actually about a year ago, and he was detained.
And what happened there?
He had pushed me in the lobby, but it wasn't like a big deal, and they made it a huge deal.
When one of the officers asked Courtney if she had any fights with Toby previously, she mentioned Las Vegas. In July 2021, police were called to their apartment as loud arguments were heard and the sound of glass hitting the floor and walls were loud too. After the investigation, the female influencer was arrested and held in jail for 12 hours for throwing glass at her partner's head. And she even said to the police that she liked throwing glasses at him. In fact, the police had interacted with the couple more recently, to be precise, just the day before the stabbing incident. And when the officers asked her about this is what she said.
But the cops have been up there one other time yesterday for absolutely no reason. Absolutely none. They harassed, not the police, but security guards from the office, like young security guards. Came up for no reason. Bothered him, bothered me.
You didn't call.
I didn't. Nobody.
I called. You called.
What?
Okay.
What's going on?
Okay, hold on, man. Let him talk. Okay. Yeah, hold on. Okay. The front desk personnel, she informed us that Miss Courtney, her boyfriend, was trying to get into the elevator, and she had her hand out like this, and she was like, "Oh no, don't come inside the elevator."
Okay.
So we asked her. I said, "Do you want him to leave the property?" She said no. She don't want him to.
I did not say that. I said yes.
Hold on.
Courtney, what's going on? What do you need? What?
Yeah.
My boyfriend.
All right. So what do you want to see?
I want a restraining order against Christian Abumseli.
We don't issue those.
Because no, I'm serious.
Courts.
Can I do that?
You
Where
have to
can
go
I?
to court. You have to go to
Okay, but
downtown.
how can I make
petition.
myself first?
However, this body cam footage from one of the cops that visited the apartment clearly shows how panicked Courtney is and how desperately she wants a restraining order on her boyfriend just because they broke off. The building's security camera also captured her hitting the elevator and pushing Toby outside of the lift, while the man makes no offensive moves. With all this evidence gathering up, Courtney's self-defense story now seems to be going far from the truth. Finally, after leaving her for almost 10 hours to change clothes and all this stuff, the detectives returned to her with some breaking news. Christian was dead. Hearing this news, Courtney became hysterical and started acting wild, so wild that she even asked one of the detectives if she could hug him. And based on her innocent presentation during the whole interrogation and her periodic crying about her sad life, the detective became soft on her and even said that she'd be allowed to go home. But the detectives hadn't seen any of the evidence we've seen so far. All they had was Courtney's words. But slowly, evidence started to come up and the Abumseli case was becoming stronger every day. One secret video also came up live that was recorded by Toby secretly as Courtney was arguing with him aggressively and hitting him on the face while abusing him.
You literally talked to her without telling me!
Courtney, I was on a bike ride and she passed me and I said hi. You and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a You're Yes, thank you. Coming from thank you.
I want you to get away from me!
Having this and all the other evidence gathered, Toby's family brought Courtney back to the courtroom.
Based on the information you received that the defendant was alleged to have thrown this knife, do your observations support that?
If the person who supposedly did this is an expert knife thrower and the knife is the type of knife that you can throw, I guess that could have happened.
Did you receive any information that the defendant was a knife thrower?
No.
So based on that fact that you did not receive that information, would it support that?
No.
And what would you expect to see a knife do if someone just flung it at somebody?
It would just hit the body and bounce off.
Now, as a result of this case, did you come to a cause, or did you make a determination as to the cause and manner of death?
Yes.
Could you please explain those to the court?
The cause of death was stab wound of right subclavian artery. The manner of death was homicide.
And this was where the final nail in the coffin was delivered by a medical examiner who had observed Toby's body and the stab wounds and came to a conclusion. With such a strong conclusion, Toby's real criminal was brought to justice. Courtney was sentenced to life prison for second-degree murder with a deadly weapon. We love to know, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Also, like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you soon with more exciting stories like this.